Insert three rational numbers. We'll learn how to insert three rational numbers in between root 2 and root 4. Let me write down the terms: root 2 and root 4, radical 2 and radical 4. So what we have to do is, let us take any three rational numbers. Okay, let us just take any three rational numbers between 2 and 4. So we'll just take any three rational numbers between 2 and 4. Now remember that these three rational numbers that we take, they are perfect squares. You have to see that those three numbers that we will take, three rational numbers that we take between 2 and 4, now this should be perfect squares. Okay, they should be perfect squares. Now let us think of three rational numbers between 2 and 4 which are perfect squares. Now for example, let us consider, now you have to be very careful in looking into this and understanding this. Okay, remember, perfect squares, these numbers should be perfect squares. 2.25, this is between 2 and 4, right? And the second number that I'm taking is 2.56. This also is a rational number between 2 and 4. The third number that I have chosen is 2.89. Now why have I taken these three numbers in particular? This is what I want you to understand here. Look at that, 2.25. Now 2.25 or 225 root, this is a perfect square root, right? 15. And why have I taken 2.56? It's a perfect square of 16. And why have I taken 2.89? That is 289. It is the perfect square of 17. So I hope you understand now that why these three numbers were taken. These are perfect squares, right? So 2.25, 2.56, 2.89. All of these three rational numbers can be put between 2 and 4. And you have to remember that these are perfect squares. Okay, I hope you have understood till here. Now what we do is, alright, so if you remember and you understand, I hope, that why have we taken these three numbers between 2 and 4. So now we have the first term that we have taken, right, root 2.25. Now what will be the, it is the perfect square of 1.5, right? And 2.56 will be the perfect square, or is the perfect square of 1.6. And the third term that we have taken is 2.89. So the root of 2.89, right, is the perfect square of 1.7. So 2.25 is the perfect square of 1.5. 2.56 is the perfect square of 1.6. And 2.89 is the perfect square of 1.7. So now let us write down these numbers which are between 2 and 4. Right? We have to find three numbers between root 2 and root 4. So we have already found these three numbers, but we still have to simplify it further. I'm just writing it down for you. Root 2 is smaller than 2.25, that is smaller than 2.56, and 2.56 is smaller than 2.89, and all of these numbers are smaller than, okay, I just have to write smaller sign over here. I'll erase that. 2.89, root 2.89 is lesser than root 4. Now you see that these three numbers which are perfect squares, we have put them between root 2 and root 4. So these three numbers are the perfect squares between root 2 and root 4. Okay, I will write down root 2, which is less than 2.25, is the perfect square of 1.5. That is what we will write it over here, which is smaller than 1.6. 1.6 square is 2.56. So the perfect square 2.56 is equal to 1.6, and root 2.89, so 2.89 is the perfect square of 1.7, which is smaller than root 4. We have to simplify it further, simplify the decimal numbers to write it as fractions. So root 2 is less than 1.5. When we write it as fraction, the decimal is removed from there as the denominator. Decimal is in 10th place, so it will be 15 by 10, and 1.6 will be written as 16 by 10. We're just moving the decimal places in the denominator side. I'm sure that you know this calculation, this form of calculation. So root 2, between root 2 and root 4 we have found these numbers, and we can simplify these fractions. So root 2 is lesser than, we can simplify it, we can cancel 15 and 10. 3 5s are 15, sorry, 5 3s are 15, and 5 2s are 10. 5 3s are 15, 5 2s are 10, so we're left with 3 by 2. 16 by 10 also can be cancelled. 2 8s are 16, and 2 5s are 10. So we're left with 8 by 5. And 17 by 10, I don't think it can be simplified further, right? So we will write it as it is, 17 by 10. And at the end we write root 4. So we have already found the answer. Three numbers between root 2 and root 4 will be 3 by 2, 8 by 5, and 17 by 10. So therefore any three rational numbers between let me come to the question to show you the numbers between root 2 and root 4. Therefore, any three rational numbers between root 2 and root 4 are three by 2, 8 by 5, and 17 by 10. Quite easy, right? It's not that tough. You just have to go through it once again or twice or thrice. Practice it by yourself. So this is the answer. Any three rational numbers between root 2 and root 4. We have found the answer for this question. Okay, and like I say, that the best way how to learn maths is practice. And I'm leaving you a homework. You have to insert three rational numbers between root 3 and root 5. Look at the problem that I have just solved.